Alrighty guys, welcome back to Code Unlock Marketing Over Matter. My name's Jonathan Delamater, and today we are going back into my new post series, which is why it doesn't matter. And today we are tackling Instagram hashtags and why they of course don't matter. They as with the last one, they do sort of matter, but I'm going to explain to you why they don't matter. Because at some point they really don't, and you have to question why you're even listening to people about this or doing all this stuff. So without further ado, let's dive right in. And I'm just going to say one last thing, is that this content is all evergreen. And I don't mean to try to toot my own horn here, but like, if you're going to be doing this Instagram thing, I think following the evergreen tactics more than just gimmicky stuff. I mean, depending on what it is, maybe use a little bit of both. If we're talking about like Instagram Reels or something, like you need to also work with what's working on the platform at the time and being timely and relevant. But evergreen content will be around forever, so it is very important to understand this stuff. It is just a surefire way to be successful on the platform. So, alrighty guys, let's dive right in.
Business, money, mindset.
I forgot to scream before, so I'm going to start screaming again as it gets a little darker in here. And I just want to tell you that it doesn't matter, because real growth is shared and viral content is shareable content. So that is just the real secret to success on the platform. You can do it at probably almost any stage in your growth. Even if you're just starting out, a viral piece of content can just, depending on what it is, it can really just get traction that easily. And you see it all the time with, I just saw it the other day in Vice Principals, the show on HBO, where they're trying to blackmail the principal with this video, and he's saying, it'll go viral, and like, as soon as I post it, because that's just the way it works. Something that outrageous the traction will just be ridiculous. So viral content is the real secret to success. But you have to also wonder, when it comes to hashtags, is the gamble you're making, whether it's worth the time and energy to focus on your hashtags. Because trust me, I have to put in at least like 15 to 20 minutes per post, if not more time. But I use a hashtag tool, but if I didn't have a hashtag tool, it would cause all kinds of frustration. That's why I pay the $10 a month. It just saves me incredible amounts of time and energy. So you have to wonder, is the time equal or greater than the value that you're getting out of it? And is it worth paying for these hashtag tools? Is the cost either equal or greater than the value? I think absolutely it is. You should definitely, if you want to take Instagram seriously, you have to invest in a hashtag tool. It is not an option. You're most likely eventually going to run into problems if you don't get a hashtag tool, using like a banned hashtag by accident, or just posting the same hashtags, copying, pasting. It's stuff like that is going to get you flagged, and it's going to decrease your reach and hurt you in the long run. So paying the $10 a month, if you're taking Instagram seriously, it's really not that big of an investment. So I just highly recommend doing that. I think it'll definitely be worth your money. But why it doesn't matter is because if you're not doing these things, then it really doesn't matter, because you're just gonna probably put yourself in a worse pickle if you end up using hashtags and then accidentally use something wrong, rather than if you just didn't use hashtags at all. So there's that to consider as well, other than the time and energy you put into this stuff, which is pretty significant at times, right? So, right, how do you know how to avoid penalization? And understanding that is how you avoid mistakes, which leads to avoiding penalization, which means you can have a greater reach with all of your posts, right? And it's just difficult to rank in hashtags without having over 1 to 2K followers. It's just, I mean, I have a little over 1K followers, and I get like less than 10 impressions from hashtags every single time, which is not significant, and I pay $10 a month. So it's like, I mean, it's not like that's a lot of money, but it's just for that kind of output. It takes time to build up to those bigger numbers, as well as that I think posting consistently plays a factor in this. I don't always post consistently, so I could be struggling for that reason. But that's just another thing of why it doesn't matter. If you're not posting consistently, then your hashtags aren't really going to matter, right? So just another thing to consider. And right, without posting consistently, and larger accounts show little to no difference. And larger accounts show little to no difference. And I've seen it time and time again of these larger accounts posting about, do hashtags matter? And I'm doing that right now. Do hashtags even matter? But I mean, they do the testing and have realized that the hashtags have very little effect on the reach of their posts. So I definitely, Gary V, does this new segment, under or overrated. He says hashtags are vastly underrated. I don't know if I agree, but I think that because the algorithm uses hashtags to sort of categorize your post and figure out what niche you're in and who to show your content to, then that is very important, of course. But at the same time, for all of this time, money, energy putting in / having to have your account at a certain level and being consistent, you should be doing all of these things. But I'm just thinking realistically, not everybody does, and it's just good to understand that if you're not doing this stuff and you're not being the ideal Instagram citizen, then your hashtags aren't really going to matter. That is the whole point of this, right? So, and the final thing is, do you track your success with hashtags or not? Meaning, like, basically, do you pay for a hashtag tool? Because that's the only way you're really going to know the success with hashtags that you have. There is a hack, I think, where you can promote one of your posts but not actually put any money behind it, and then as soon as you promote it, you can go back to that post and go into your analytics in Instagram and then scroll down, and it'll show your top performing hashtags. Look it up. I might do a video about it later, but that is one way to see it without a Instagram tool, but it's not really a consistent way to do it. So I, again, just highly recommend just getting the tool. It's worth the $10 a month. I love Hashtastic. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out, and it's very inexpensive. So I'm not sure what that was, but I liked it. So what to do, with all of this nonsense going on? So you need to create shareable content that catches attention. It's easy to understand, it's easy to wrap your mind around. Don't be putting a lot of visually intense stuff in an image. Don't be cramming your little square with too much nonsense and information visually, or text. Too much text is just not going to help you. I struggle with that myself because I'm a chatty guy, so the best method to ever persist in is just to keep it simple and just make it very easy to understand. Talk at a 4th grade level, provide valuable information, inspire, educate, tell a joke, entertain, shock, envelope the cool factor. Cool factor being, what you want to be associated with. Like people wear Ralph Lauren because they think that it envelops the cool factor because it's expensive, and people like that sort of thing, right? So stuff like that. I say under 50K followers minimum, use them as long as you're using them correctly. get a tool, create a hashtag strategy. Like, don't just dive in not knowing anything. You need to figure out how to use hashtags exactly, figure out how not to use banned hashtags and stuff like this, and stuff that's going to get you flagged by the algorithm. So yeah, buy a hashtag tool, or just look up in a ton of blog posts and stuff like the way hashtags work. You cannot copy and paste to your hashtag list over and over again. You need to change them up every single time. So I'm helping you out there. Don't use the banned hashtags. There's too many to list, so I couldn't go into that even if I wanted to. Also, you need to know which types of hashtags to use, meaning they have to be pertaining to what is actually in your image or your niche as a whole. So if it doesn't fit one of those categories, it's not in your image, or it doesn't fit your niche, do not put a hashtag about it. Okay? Even if they're popular. And also, you want to go for those long tail hashtags that not many people are posting in but are still active, right? So you want to look for that sort of balance where there isn't too many posts inside, and the feed isn't just dropping down like crazy when there's millions of posts being done a minute. It's like kind of slow, and it gives you a chance to get those impressions and stuff. So you kind of need a hashtag tool to do this. Instagram will recommend you hashtags, but they're more than likely going to be bigger hashtags. The only way to sort of hack that is to look for long tail hashtags. Like, the longer the hashtag is, the better chances of it being a less popular hashtag. And also how many hashtags to use. I use 30 every time, but you can test this. Every account is different, so some people use 28, some people use 30, some people use 14, so test it out, figure out how many works best for your account, and go with that. And of course, last but not least, I'm going to scream this one, you have to test and track your success. You need to do this. This is very important. If you're not testing or tracking your success, or figuring out which hashtags are working for you and which hashtags are not working for you, then you're going to have a very difficult time growing. You want to, of course, double down on the ones that are working for you. You're getting traction in them. Keep using them. Add them to your list. Just sprinkle them in there. Don't use the same list. Just change up the other ones, but keep in those ones that you're consistently ranking for, right? And remove the ones that you're not. That is the best way to do this. So all of this comes back to why hashtags don't really matter. If you're not putting in the time and energy to really treat your Instagram like, it's your only thing to do, it's your main source of income, and it's your job, then you got to take it seriously, post consistently, be a model Instagrammer, and then hashtags will matter. But if you're not being that model Instagrammer, then they don't really matter. The final thing I'm going to leave you with here is a very simple formula I devised that I think will help you in all of growing on Instagram. That is what happens is, when you first start out on Instagram, you learn the best practices, right? Which is sort of what I'm teaching you here. And then it gets to the stage where you've moved past that and you understand the best practices, and now you can you're established, and you are trying to figure out stuff on your own, right? And you have to start testing stuff, figuring out what works for you. And that's my last thing here. You have to find out what works for you, and then you become the teacher who knows the best practices. Now you're here, you've been here for a while, you understand how it works. So that is how you unlock the algorithm and excel on the platform. So that's it for me. It's Jonathan Delamater with Marketing Over Matter. Definitely smash the like button. Give me a subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Marketing Over Matter. And if you're listening on my podcast, please leave me a review. It's going to help me grow. I want to keep, giving you guys these great tips, and don't get me discouraged, okay? So, thank you so much, guys.